September 15th, 2008, 1:45 in the morning, a bank that survived the Civil War and the Great Depression files for bankruptcy, $613 billion. The largest bankruptcy in human history. So how does a 158-year-old fortress vanish in a single morning? Not greed, not one villain. Physics. Once you see the physics, you'll know why it had to happen and why it will happen again. Every market behaves like a physical system. Money flows like water, debt stacks like potential energy, and trust holds the entire structure together until it doesn't. In the next 14 minutes, we rebuild the 2008 crash piece by piece. The fuel, the spark, the chain reaction. By the end, you'll read a financial crisis like an engineer reads a collapsing bridge. It starts in 2003, with the cheapest money in half a century. 2003, the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates to 1%, the lowest in 50 years. Money turns practically free. Cheap money behaves like water on a slope. It flows downhill, hunting for yield. On Wall Street, trading floors crackle. Lehman Brothers, 158 years old, hunts growth harder than anyone. Its CEO, Fuld, they call him the gorilla. He wants Lehman feared, and he borrows the firm toward that goal. The system starts absorbing energy, fast. Here's the machine that made it possible. A family signs a mortgage with a local lender. The lender sells that loan to a Wall Street bundler. The bundler packs thousands of mortgages into a single bond. Investors worldwide buy slices of it. Pension funds in Norway, banks in Germany. The bonds pay better than treasuries and carry a AAA stamp, safe as government debt, supposedly. Now notice the trick. The person who approved your loan no longer cares if you repay it. The risk never disappeared. It moved, transferred, concentrated, hidden, exactly like energy. The pipeline stands ready. It needs fuel. The entire machine rested on one assumption. American home prices only go up. 180,000, 240,000, 310,000, year after year. Nationwide, prices hadn't fallen since the Great Depression. When an assumption never fails, people stop calling it an assumption. They call it a law of nature. It wasn't. And in 2005, the machine started running out of fuel. By 2005, every credit-worthy American already carried a mortgage. The machine needed borrowers, so the standards dropped. Then they dropped again. No income, no job, no assets, no problem. Brokers called them ninja loans and approved them by the million. Why would any lender do this? Remember the physics. The lender holds none of the risk. Collect the fee, pass the loan down the pipeline. Repeat. Every actor acts rationally. The system marches off a cliff. That's a bubble, a structure inflating on pressure it cannot contain, held together by pure belief. And Wall Street found a way to make it exponentially worse. Meet the CDO, the collateralized debt obligation. Sounds complex. It's a waterfall. Mortgage payments pour in at the top. The AAA tray fills first. The overflow spills into AA, then BBB. Equity sits at the bottom, catching whatever remains. When borrowers default, the losses flow in reverse. The bottom drowns first, the top stays dry. So banks poured shaky subprime loans into the waterfall. Rating agencies stamped the top layer AAA. Toxic inputs, pristine outputs. Then they built CDOs out of other CDOs, square. The plumbing now connected every major bank on earth into one hydraulic system, one structure, shared pressure, no way back. And here comes the multiplier. Lehman gambled with borrowed money. For every dollar of its own capital, $30 of debt. Leverage works like a lever. It amplifies force in both directions. A 3% gain doubles your money. A 3% loss erases you. Lehman balanced a skyscraper on a coin. March 2008, the first support cracks. Bear Stearns, smaller than Lehman, same disease, collapses within a week. JP Morgan buys it for $2 a share. The Fed brokers the rescue. The market exhales. Engineers know better. When one support fails under load, you inspect every support carrying that load. every eye on Wall Street turned to Lehman. Through the summer of 2008, the physics reversed. Home prices had fallen for 2 straight years. Defaults climbed. The safe bonds rotted on every balance sheet. Lehman lost $2.8 billion in June, another $3.9 billion by September. The stock collapsed 90%. Fuld kept insisting the firm stood strong, but confidence behaves like a strange material. It doesn't bend, it doesn't dent, it holds its shape perfectly until the moment it shatters. The whole street watched for the crack. Friday, September 12th, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Every major bank CEO gets summoned into one room. Paulson, Geithner, Diamond, Blankfein, Mack. The mission: sell Lehman before Asian markets open on Monday. 2 buyers sit at the table. Bank of America walks away and buys Merrill Lynch instead. Barclays wants the deal. British regulators refuse to bless it in time. Sunday afternoon, the room falls silent. No buyer, no bailout. For the first time in the crisis, the safety net is gone. Monday, 1:45 in the morning. Lehman Brothers files for bankruptcy. $613 billion of debt turns to smoke. Now watch the chain reaction. This is why it's physics. Lehman owes money to everyone, and those I owe us just died. Every bank holding them staggers. Every lender to those banks feels it next. AIG insured the CDOs. It now needs $85 billion within 48 hours. Washington Mutual becomes the largest bank failure in American history. Iceland, the entire country, goes functionally bankrupt. Dominoes don't fall because each one is weak. They fall because they're connected. Then the deepest damage. Banks stop lending to companies, to each other, to anyone, because if Lehman could die, anyone could. Credit comes from the Latin credere, to believe. Belief froze. Money stopped moving. A market survives losses. It cannot survive the absence of trust. The freeze spread from Wall Street to every street. Companies couldn't roll their debt, so they cut the fastest cost: people. 2.6 million American jobs vanished in 2008 alone, nearly 9 million before the crisis ended. Retirement accounts lost $2.4 trillion in 12 months. Foreclosures passed 3 million homes a year. The S&P 500 tells it in one line. From the 2007 peak, minus 56%. A decade of savings, erased in 17 months. Interbank liquidity drained to minimum reserves. Banks hoarded cash like oxygen. And here's the cruelest property of connected systems. The pressure releases furthest from the source. None of these people worked at Lehman. Most never heard of a CDO. The engineers of the crisis lost bonuses. The passengers lost homes. Years later, Congress asked Dick Fuld about that September. His answer, word for word, until the day they put me in the ground. I will wonder. Governments did the only thing left. They became the trust. TARP pushed $700 billion into the banks. The Fed cut rates to zero. Then quantitative easing. The Fed created money and pumped it into the system. Its balance sheet swelled from $900 billion toward $4.5 trillion. In physics terms, the system lost its pressure, so the central bank became the pump. Did it work? The freeze thawed. The banks survived. By 2013, the S&P clawed back its old peak. But look closer at what actually happened. Nobody removed the energy from the system. It transferred from private balance sheets to public ones. The debt never vanished. It only changed address. And Wall Street learned a dangerous lesson. Connected enough means you cannot be allowed to fail. So what was 2008 really? Not a black swan, not a handful of villains. A system stored energy for years, cheap money, hidden risk, extreme leverage. One failure released all of it at once. Markets don't swing between right and wrong. They swing between fear and greed. overshooting equilibrium in both directions, a pendulum that never settles. The cascade of 2008 never truly ended. It slowed, the structure got patched, the physics never changed, which leaves one question worth sitting with. Where in today's system is the energy quietly building? 3 things worth keeping. 1. Markets are systems. Judge the plumbing, not the headlines. 2. Leverage multiplies everything. Genius upward, catastrophe downward. 3. Trust is credit. When belief stops, money stops. Hold on to those 3. You'll see the next crisis more clearly than Wall Street saw this one. Because trust can freeze a system, it can also be manufactured, fabricated, weaponized. Next time, a machine that produced fake returns for 40 years. $65 billion of pure belief. Bernie Madoff, the physics of a Ponzi scheme. Subscribe so you don't miss it.